So what's common between the three? That's a quick question. And the answer is usage of water. The typical jeans takes around 7,500 liters of water. That cup that you drink every morning, it's not a 150 or 200 ml cup. It's actually a 3 liter to make those beans, and that actually was what made your 150 ml cup. And finally, if you look at the data centers, in every part of the industry, there's no industry that is not having water as some part of water as part of their journey map. So this is a glaring facts that we like to see together. There's typically around 2.2 billion people who actually have access or lack of access to safe water. Think about it, 8 billion people, and out of that, a quarter of them without water. Around 3.5 billion people, 40% of them, don't have access to safe sanitation every day. And 2 minutes, every 2 minutes, a child is lost. Why? Because of lack of safe water, and at the vulnerable age, any disease is actually takes you towards mortality. And finally, women spend around 200 million hours. Women and children, actually, with children, girls, they spend around 200 million hours every day. Go to the next. And let me take a little deeper look into this for you. So the water crisis actually is a very deep crisis. It's multifaceted in its nature. It's a health crisis, 1 million deaths that I talked about. What's more scary is that when you have health as a crisis, it's not just a crisis of one time, it's generational crisis, stunting of height. One factor which is clearly has a direct correlation to GDP. Poor health, poor GDP. Second, a women's crisis. We talked about it. There's a general joke, or rather, I would not use the term joke. A general saying is there that if in India, men were to collect water every day, this problem would have been solved 50 years back. But it continues. Girls, women are asked to get water every day. And that's around 45 minutes every day lost in one trip. And that most of them take 2 trips a day. The children also have crisis because of this. 23% of girls stop going for education, higher education, because lack of sanitation facilities in their schools or clean facilities. Think about it. A quarter of you would not be sitting here just because you didn't have toilets. An economic crisis, I think all of us will very closely connect with that. $260 billion lost every year globally because of lack of water and sanitation. And then finally, a climate crisis. If you think about it, roughly around, India itself has got around 18% of the population, and we got around 4% of the water reserves in the world. When we look at the economic crisis, there was an assessment done at the last year's World Economic Forum. And they said, what is the number one challenge that the top leaders were asked, what is the number one challenge do you see or risk do you see for disrupting your business? And the answer was climate change, risk of weather. So it's everywhere, and we'll talk more about it. Let's go to the next one. But in fact, the answer is, apart from all those crises, it's a financial crisis. If you look at the total amount of time that we spend on collecting water, on not being able to deliver, lack of productivity, you'll start thinking about it as a financial loss. But a deeper assessment tells us that if all the, look at all the charity, all the government funds are put together, and the total amount will only come to around $35 billion, $38 billion. The need at this stage is around $114 billion. This difference, this is the financial gap. So even if with positive intent, without financial support, without the capital available, we will not be able to cross the bridge. And that's why we all need a different set of thinking, a different way of approaching the business. Let's go. Yeah. So that's one of the key things that we have. SDG 6, which is water and sanitation, is actually at the core center of all the SDGs that are there. There's not one SDG that is not linked to SDG 6. And so if you do not solve SDG 6, it's very hard to think that you'll be able to solve the other SDG 6s. So how did the water.org come to a solution to this? And in order to understand this, you have to first appreciate that no amount of finance, our own CSR, government finances, can solve the problem. So the answer lies in mobilizing capital, financial capitals. So what water.org started to do was look at it from a point of leverage, from the point of moving and maximizing the funds that are available. The maximization happened was by, rather than giving it directly to the borrowers, actually enabling financial institutions, banks, SHGs, SRLMs, or these livelihood missions by the government, looking at the business correspondent model, looking at microfinance institutions, and helping them create a financial product. By enabling them to have a financial product, more funds could be deployed at the base of the economic pyramid, where the borrowers, and many of them were from where they were coming. And they would then, in turn, construct their own toilets and move ahead with the help of contractors to have their own toilets and water connections. So some of you might ask that, why is capital markets being deployed, and what is the benefit that the borrower gets when through the institutional, through the FIs, financial institutions? And the answer is, it's the lack of funds that actually makes them not go in for their toilets, not the willingness. People at the base also are as interested in having solutions for themselves. It's the lack of funds that actually causes it. When you look at it from a point of enabling those institutions with the help of giving their loan officers training, capacity building, giving them how to create a financial product, it becomes an easier sell for them to go, an easier way of approaching the borrowers in the process. You may also ask, why contractors are being paid by, and we'll go back for a second. Contractors are directly linked to the borrowers. Because at the end of the day, it's the ownership that they have built for themselves. It's not a government scheme where the government came and made a toilet for them. Here it is they themselves invested their own hard-earned money to create a toilet, to have a water connection with the help of their own contractors, and it ensures sustainability of the program. Let's go next. So here's a better sense of what it is. Most of 85% of our borrowers actually are at the base of the economic pyramid. And so this is where the effect is. People even living at the base have reasons to believe that they want to have a better solution. And we can see that through the data. What's also very interesting is 90% of the borrowers are women. 98% of them fall within this category in India. And 99% of them do a repayment. So these are repayable loans, unsecured loans, if you can appreciate where they're coming from. The program has grown, it has expanded, and just to give you a little bit of proof is on your left side, you will see that there are 73 million people globally have reached through this program. There's been through our 171 active partners, we've been able to generate over 16 million loans. And that means a mobilization of over $6.3 billion. It's changed the way people at the base have, and those who need a toilet, look at it as something that they can plan for themselves rather than depending on CSR and government funds. Here's an interesting slide that I like to share with you. So this is the journey from 2015 to 2024, and you can rightly see that the number has been growing. This is called a hockey stick effect from a management point of view. For the first 10 years, that we had, the growth was very slow. And then eventually, it just took off exponentially. And the reason for this, once people start believing in themselves, they start talking, have their sense of pride and dignity comes in that we have our own water connection. We don't need to depend on going all the way to the water point. And what they end up doing is talking to the neighbor, saying, hey, look at my toilet. Look at the way our facility is. there's pride, there's dignity, there's excitement. And that's what gets the next person to take the loan and the next person to take the loan. So effectively, it's a case of building the right amount of awareness. And this is for most of the marketing people. If you're getting into new markets, into new products, and you're breaking, blue ocean areas, you will have to look at being patient and creating the right critical mass who can take it further for you. So okay, that's good. So when we built, the toilets in India itself, once you build the toilets, the market didn't actually stop at that point. It expands into the next level of infrastructure. Suddenly we realize that it reminds me of many of you would have not even been born at that time, but in early 90s, the telecom revolution happened. I lived at a period when we had to only have a land phone, and that was all that we could ever use. And from there, shifting into a mobile technology was the biggest leap, and it changed the way we all communicate with each other. Similarly, we realized that just addressing the household is just the tip of the solution that we have got. The next step is building the infrastructure, building grey water treatment plants, having drinking water treatment plants, fecal sludge treatment plants. And as you would recognize, India is pretty back still in the very early stages of not having very good technologies that can solve this. But a disruption is required, and I think, as we all recognize, in disruption, you need finance and private finances to come in and play a pivotal role. Taking from there, the idea of having entrepreneurs and having EPC contractors, ensuring that there is models of PPP models, public-private partnerships are established, blended financing models are established so that concessional finances can be approached. Solving this through a lens of both CSR and as well as from market capital is actually the best way to address the problem. And so this is a way by which finance and charity, as well as a way by which finance and solutions for the sustainability can be achieved. Let's go ahead. How are we moving ahead at this stage? So one of the things that we at Water.org look at it is converting this into a product. So again, market expansions, think about it, your product expansions, you are actually in a market and you're selling a toilet. And that's what we, for many years, used to do. We used to give loans, or we used to help partners who would then give loans for a toilet or for a water connection. The next step is toilet renovation, roof rainwater harvesting projects, a water filter. People living at the base of the pyramid also want to have the same benefits and the same kind of lifestyle as you and I are privileged to. And so building the infrastructure was the first step, and also building the enterprise. And for that, creating various products. So our typical product cycle today is around 3. That means once a woman gets the idea that this is a great solution for my life, I can actually use this as a loan, she usually then takes it in the next cycle and in the next cycle, and solving multiple water and sanitation problems in her house. Another issue that we've got into is data analytics. What we realized is loans have different texture, different ways in different parts of the country. What loan is needed in one part of the country may not be needed in another part. And therefore, there's a data analytics is now becoming a key part of the Water.org's way forward. We also brought in e-learning as a global e-learning tool for all of us. And I think you will appreciate the fact that when loan officers, and there's a high attrition of loan officers at the base, at the ground level, they need to be retrained. And modern efficient methods such as e-learning really can play that pivotal role. And then finally, areas like ESG toolkit as well as policy alignment is critical to do it. So one of the key things that we did in this journey map was to align with the Reserve Bank of India as well as with institutions like NABARD in ensuring that water and sanitation is part of the priority sector lending. These are some of the steps. I go back for a second. So these are some of the other areas that we are focusing on at this stage. We're focusing on bringing in enterprise support, helping smaller enterprises those which are starting up at this stage, to understand what's market evaluation. How do you do the right evaluation? How do you get connected with the investor community? Because at the end of the day, there's only two things that are happening. For the financial institution is the ease of finance, and for the institutions is the ease of doing business. If we can help cross that bridge, solutions can be brought through innovative methods. And last thing about over here is my going back to the earlier topic of climate. So there's a very, water is the first step of solving the problem. But as climate comes about, there's a challenge that we all face into. We face that there's a disruption in our lives will happen because of climate. Imagine what would happen if your factories would have to be moved because the cost of raw material had gone high and you could not afford it. What would happen to the farmers? What would happen to the people living if there was no water available? They would have to move out of that location. And that means disruption of work. So in solving water and sanitation crisis, you're actually ensuring your own businesses to run more smoothly. It's said that if water and sanitation is, I'm so sorry, if climate is a shark, then water and sanitation are the teeth of the shark. So think about it. That's the only way you can actually fight the shark. Let's go to the next one. And I want to actually take the last minute, in giving you some personal tips. In my 30 years of journey, what has been the most profound learnings and what is going to make the way you will change your lives? Don't listen to your old bosses, people who have gray hair like me, and say, hey, I need profit, I need profit. Get into the mindset of achieving a triple bottom line. And unless you're not good for the planet, you're not good for the people, and you're not good for profit, your business will cease to exist at one stage. Look at net zero. Today, all of the large organizations, all those early examples are the top Fortune 500 companies are looking at net zero and ensure that your business is sustainable. Finally, I'd like to wish you all the very best and hope that you will integrate your specialization with a cause, not when you're 55 or 60 and then you thought that you made your money. Think about it as part of your journey map, and hopefully you'll be in a place that you'll call yourself success in every way. Thank you.